Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good golly, Miss Molly. I want to start by apologising to anybody out there watching, whether it be now or on a replay or whatever, and I apologise to Mal, who's stuck somewhere in cyberspace for some technical difficulties we had with software. We had a plethora of difficulties. Would you say we had a plethora?
We're here now.
Oh, Mal's here now. We're here.
And Mal's there as well. Hi, Mal.
The show must go on.
Oh, there I am. This is my third device.
I know.
This is my third piece of kit.
We have been having all sorts of problems this morning. Although everything was great until 15 minutes ago when Granny tried to join the stream. So I think it's his fault. I'm going to blame him.
Blame me. I'm used to that. Go ahead, blame me. I can take it.
Well,
hang on a minute. Big G, where did that come from?
He's Big never G? Got it up.
Is he really Big G, though?
That's me, Big G.
Is he really Big G? I mean
don't you know that nickname? I've got more nicknames than anybody. I got about a dozen nicknames. None of them nice.
Yeah. No, I know a couple of them.
That's right.
So it's better than being small G, I guess, or tiny G.
Well, you got my drift, Brian. You got my drift.
Indeed. But yeah, thank you for your patience, everybody on the panel and everybody out there maybe watching now or later. Software issues, which I'm hopefully going to kick someone's ass and resolve after this. But thank you for being here.
You should be a tour manager. Go and kick some ass, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna blame the Rowdies for this one.
Give us a number. We'll get the fucker sorted out.
Well, it's good to see you all. You're all here. Mark is back as well after missing last week. Good to see you, Mark.
Yeah, missing in action.
And you were working, so you were working with Martin Turner, yeah?
I was, yeah. We were up in Newcastle.
Oh, why I'm
at the Clooney. And what a great crowd there. What a great crowd. I mean, the Geordies are a brilliant crowd.
Oh, yeah.
Once they get a couple of beers in them, that all of a sudden they know all the words to all the songs. And
a couple of beers?
Yeah, well.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a great time, and we'll look forward to hearing more about that in the future. Your current work, it's fascinating. It was sound work. You're doing the sound man stuff, yeah?
I was mixing sound, and we were recording multi-track.
Oh, cool!
And we got some great recordings as well.
Yeah. He was fiddling with his knobs. In other words,
I was. Yeah. I have many knobs.
So welcome, guys.
He was knobbing it.
He was knobbing it. He was hobnobbing.
Hobnobbing indeed.
Hobbit was knobbing it.
Hobbit-nobbing. And welcome to our friend Dustin, who's here to hold my hand. Here, hold my hand when I cry.
Guys, I've just lost you. My screen's gone blank now. I've lost you.
So we can still see you, though.
Unfortunately, we can still see you.
Yeah, I can't see you guys.
Well, you can hear us.
Well, you see, there's a plus to every situation.
Yeah. Before we start on today's topic, which go ahead, Wilco. Yeah. Wilco, mate.
He's fallen over.
1 2 1 2. Hello, chaps.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Here I am in sunny Hartlepool.
Hartlepool.
Good.
What the hell?
Yes, I was out on the. I did the worst thing in my life. I went on a. I've got my sister and my nephew up, and I took them on the bumper cars, and I think I've got 2 broken ribs.
Oh,
so
shit.
I'm going to be on top of my broken back, and I've got rib problems.
Is this on top of Mark driving into you and breaking your leg?
Oh, that's another version of bumper cars. I just run the fuck over.
What this tour is like. I've got my knee brace on, which really, really helps. But next time I see the opera, he's a dead man. He's a dead man walking. Because I know when I come back to the States, I got to get this fixed. It's definitely a problem. But it's okay. I'm not worried about it.
Don't forget, you're the one that's hobbled.
I still love you, Mark. Never mind.
You're the one that's hobbled by the bad back.
I didn't hear what you said.
Hey?
I've lost you.
I've got, me too.
We're having Atlantic issues, honestly.
It's like herding cats.
Yeah, I don't know what's causing that particular issue. Possibly internet things.
Dustin, You've got the best groomed beard I've ever seen in my life. I think it's absolutely massive.
Yeah, I want to know, what do you use on it? Because I'm thinking of like putting some gel in mine. What do you use on your beard?
Nothing.
I'm thinking of working on my hair,
Just wash it every other day or so.
Oh,
Ah.
washing it. Ah,
It's his keto simple diet.
Granny's never heard of that.
wash. That's
Oh,
Duty
hello,
down.
hello, darling.
This is my
Hello.
granddaughter.
Oh, hello, sweetheart.
This is mayhem. This is mayhem.
This stream has suddenly gone PG as opposed to R-rated.
No swearing. No swearing.
Oh,
You
look.
go see mom.
Hey, sweetheart.
Say hi to my friends.
Where's my, there,
All
just
right,
my
then.
hand.
Remember, rock and roll. Rock and roll.
She loves rock and roll.
Teach
You
her
gonna
well.
sing rock and roll for him?
God, the groupies are getting younger and younger, aren't they?
Jeez.
Keep it clean.
So the
I won't.
topic of today's show is iconic venues, but before we get started on that, I wanted to just get a few words from you guys about the passing of one of the greats, in my opinion, Robbie Robertson, who we lost yesterday. I did a little video of it.
I watched it. I watched it. It was very nice. Brian.
Yeah, thanks, mate. What's your guys' thoughts about? And did you ever encounter the band in your travels and Robbie Robertson?
I think I met them at an airport once. That was about it.
I never met them, but the Big Pink was one of my favorite albums back in the day. And all those guys, they had such a rustic sound, and it was brilliant. Cripple Creek and
wonderful
brilliant.
songwriter as well. Great songwriter.
Yeah,
and a good Canadian.
Yeah, good Canadian. Yeah, right. It must be quite sad in Canada, but Joni. I saw a thing from Joni Mitchell.
It was a big one. I think only Garth Hudson is left from the original members of the band.
The drummer Levon Helm, wasn't it? Levon Helm, the drummer.
Levon, the only American in the band, even though everyone thinks of their quintessential American sound.
He was from the southern states.
Indeed, but it was a sad day there in that respect. But anyway, rest in peace, Robbie, and
it's an end of an era.
Yeah, it is. It's
great.
kind of an era. Thanks
Well, they had a great sort of mountain sound to me. I thought I always imagined them sort of in the Rockies, sort of in some shack or something, just playing their stuff. It had that sort of.
That's the album, Music from the Big Pink. That shack we recorded in was painted pink. And that's why it's called the Music from the Big Pink.
I think a lot of that was done in Woodstock in upstate New York.
It was. Yeah.
So good afternoon, Davina, and good afternoon, Das Wolfen, John. Good to see you guys.
Woohoo!
So it's Granny's fault.
Oh.
So
I've come back again.
Any and all blame.
Your fault, Granny. Whatever it is.
Let's talk about some of the great venues, and we'll never cover them all again in an hour. Some of the great venues you guys have all worked at or individually worked at. I'm kind of going to run through some of the top ones. Well, as I say, there's dozens of others you guys mentioned, and we'll get to those in future shows. But the first one I wanted to ask you guys about was the famous Marquee Club in Wardour Street.
Yeah,
I bet you've all been there and all worked there.
many times.
Yeah.
First band I saw there was Yes.
Oh,
but just as a 3-piece.
I was there. I was there that night.
Well, we probably went together, Mal. We just
maybe you were together.
But we never knew it. We never knew we were there together.
But the Marquee, I mean, even I've been in the Marquee to a gig, and it was UFO, but this was like 1981 or something. Not UFO way earlier, who played there many times.
Different venue, I think.
Yeah, they switched around a little bit. Yeah, but this is I don't know if this is the original position.
I don't think that is the original.
No, that's probably more like it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Wardour Street.
With all the film companies.
That little archway is the entrance.
Yeah, that's right. And I love the Border Film Productions next door with a film called Bury 'Em Deep.
Yeah.
What are they talking about?
Wardour Street was Wardour Street was all film companies and stuff all up and down that street. Little little shops.
Music. I worked with Status Quo, and John Sherry's office was across the street from there, Mark.
Yeah, well, that was Dryden Chambers on Oxford Street.
Street from there, and that's where Tony Smith Genesis offices were as well. Until they moved round the corner into Shaftesbury Avenue.
That's a different guy, Brian. Stratton Smith was Charisma, Vandergraft.
Oh, he's Charisma. That's why I got confused with Genesis.
Smith.
So here's the stage.
Oh, yeah.
This is the stage inside.
Yeah.
The Who. Fucking hell.
It was the perfect size gig for a small, for a band sound. The stage was not, it was pretty compact. The low ceiling, got a good crowd inside. The sound was fantastic. But the only hang-up of the Marquee was if you were going for a night out, you passed the bar before you even got to the room where the music was. Sometimes didn't even make it into the gig.
That's right. Yeah.
So true.
That's very true.
What an atmosphere must have been in there when a band like Yes played, or
King Crimson. I saw King Crimson when they first came out, and they actually put seats out for that gig because it was a band to listen to, right?
Right.
At the end of the show, Fripp just sat there dead still. They weren't very flamboyant, but the musicianship, and at the very end, it was 20th Century Schizoid Man. Strobe lights came on, and it was just absolutely hypnotizing with that high-speed part.
So here they are backstage. I mean, look at that small backstage.
That's the dressing room. Yeah.
When they finished, the whole audience was just stunned. I've never seen anything like it. Nobody clapped. There was no clapping, wasn't necessary. You'd just seen an incredible event.
Wow.
It was just like,
what was this? What was the capacity of the place in terms of crowd?
300.
As many as they could cram in.
As many as they could get
many as they could cram in. I'm with Mark there. I know they've had 700 in there.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
I think the legal thing was about 350.
So much for health and safety, eh?
But you're right up against the band. I mean, where you saw that the Who there, that it didn't stop them bringing in sort of 2 4x12s each and fucking, raising the roof on the place. I mean, how the place stood, I don't know.
Yeah, the volume must have been great.
Oh, it was intense.
It was close enough to smell the drummer.
Yeah, so I want to point out this particular flyer, which has got Vinegar Joe in it. Assuming
Armada,
that's you,
right
Mal.
above. Armada, that's me and Mal.
Armada, yeah. But we were, myself and Granny worked for both those bands, Armada and Vinegar Joe.
Yeah, I think it 71.
My claim to fame about the Marquee doing that gig with Vinegar Joe, myself and Dave Vicky, the other roadie, finished up on stage singing a song. And just recently, myself and Wilco went to visit him, and Dave still remembers all the words to that song. I can't remember them. It was all about Pennyworth of Winkles. All the big ones gone.
East End.
It was one of these East End songs. But I've sang on stage at the Marquee.
Well, there you go. And you even remember it. You even remember it.
That's my 2 minutes of fame.
I noticed UFO on here, very early UFO appearance. There's another one here which is neat, which is it mentions you specifically, Granny.
There I am.
His new intentions.
Look further down. Look even further down.
I know Van de Graaff.
Van de Graaff generator.
Van de Graaff generator.
Can I ask what Granny's new intentions were?
Oh, they're still the same.
No.
And by the way, just to the left, Dream Police, that would have been Hamish of the Average White Band.
That's right. And DJ Bob Harris.
Right above that was Love Affair, Steve Ellis. All these people we know.
Steve Ellis,
so you guys have got a ton of connections to the Marquee. I mean,
absolutely.
And Bob Harris.
I did a gig with anybody I ever worked with in the 70s. I got a list. Armada, Gnidralog, Steve Ellis, Heavy Metal Kids, Vinegar Joe, Stack Ridge, and AWB.
Wow.
So
you've all got deep. You've all got deep. Oh, sorry, Wilco's trying to get back in. Sorry, mate. Yeah. So Wilco,
and plus the Tremolos played there.
Right.
I played there with the Tremolos.
So what was it like though working there? I mean, it was a pretty tight space to get stuff.
Easy load in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mixing console was well, not the console itself, but the spot you had was like just sitting up against the desk. It was you're the back against your wall, And yeah, I remember one night I was using an Audio Master. This is with Wishbone. Audio Master mixer, WEM Audio Master. People will know what that is, with rotary knobs for your volume controls.
Ooh.
And somebody spilled a Coke all over it. I don't know where the fuck it came from, and all the channels went random. So like you didn't know what was controlling what. It was just all shorting out between each other and stuff.
This is the psychedelic era. Surely that worked. I mean,
It was brilliant. Went down a storm.
It was a bit like how this show started today.
I'm pleased to say we are broadcasting, because I was a bit worried for a short while there. Nothing was going to happen, but it's happening. And thank you.
Hello to the world. Hello to the world.
Indeed. I wanted to just, before we move on to a different venue, hang on. My pictures, there we go. It mentions Taste here.
Taste, brilliant.
And I found this great picture.
Brian, can you hear me? I can see everybody.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Brilliant band.
We can hear you. That's on the supposedly was a picture at the
That's
Marquee.
not the Marquee.
It's not the Marquee.
That's not the
I don't think
Marquee.
that.
It titled it that, but it isn't. It's a stage. That's
No,
not
definitely not. The stage is far too deep.
But imagine seeing Rory. Did you see Taste and Rory at the Marquee? That
Many
must
times.
Must
Yes.
be something else.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Love
that
Rory
guy,
Gallagher.
that guy would play the tits off that guitar. He'd be sweating like a fucking rapist. It would just, I'm talking about you, Granny.
What have you been smoking, Mark?
Yeah. So backstage was. It sounds like it's a wonderful place. It's possibly the most, maybe
Iconic.
the most famous place in
And
London.
don't
for
forget,
gigs.
Brian, don't forget, just up the street were two classic hangouts. The Ship Pub was like 100 yards away, where you'd always start the night. And next to that was La Chasse, which was upstairs, like a little bit more elegant, roadie and muso hangouts. So it was like not just a gig, it was a fantastic area. Shaftesbury
It's a night
Avenue.
out. Yeah, I started going there in the late 70s, early 80s. As you say, it was probably a different location. It was still Wardour Street, I think, though.
Oh, if it's Wardour Street, it's the same place.
Yeah. It was,
Because they moved to Tottenham Court Road, I think. After
No,
that.
I was the Wardour Street when I got into. Yeah, it was a UFO warm-up gig for a 1981 World
Tottenham
Tour.
Court Road. That's what I went.
Yeah, but it's a great venue, and we will probably return to that venue for a future show and just talk about just that one. But I wanted to move on and talk about a few of the other big ones that you guys have worked with, and one of them is the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
Which you've all been in it many times, I'm sure, and I know some of you have probably worked there too. I can see Wilco's got his horse and carriage outside waiting for him.
Yeah. That's his rag and bone cart.
That's the equipment trucks.
Just the crew, yeah.
Yeah, I used to go down
that's
there.
right. Yeah, you got the best of stuff. Yeah,
I used to go down there with my horse and cart just to get the lead off the roof.
That's right. That's opposite a park as well, isn't it? Is it St James Park or
Hyde Park?
Hyde Park. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I have been
right across the road from that is the Albert Memorial.
Yeah,
correct.
With a big statue of Prince Albert that was supposed to sit on top of the Albert Hall, but they deemed it too big, too heavy. They couldn't. The roof wouldn't have held it. It would have collapsed.
No,
that's right across the street.
I've been to a number of gigs there and to the proms there, and it is a very unique atmosphere inside.
Yeah.
It's got those weird sonic things at the top.
Yeah.
And of course it's in the round pretty much, and it's all that red velvet or whatever. You feel like you're in Dante's Inferno, I think.
I think they added those discs things when they started having electric bands, I think.
Because the acoustics in there were famous for being great for orchestras and stuff like that. But when we start using it for rock bands, it was pretty awful in the early days.
I mean, when they first started damping that down, they used to just hang big black drapes from the ceiling, to kill the sound a bit, because the electric stuff was far more intense than the orchestra.
The organ was right there, and
that organ is incredible.
That's the
Thank
stage.
you.
It's all tiered. It was very difficult to put a big production in.
Yeah, I mean it is an awkward place. I would have thought.
It still is. When I saw Eric Clapton on the Cream revival or reunion I think about 10 years ago. I actually
Yeah.
went to the Albert Hall, and the sound wasn't great then, but it was good. But it wasn't loud. It wasn't like giving you sort of like all that. It was
Tasteful.
sit down concert sort of level.
Yeah.
And the stage had some video screens, but it wasn't like a big. You couldn't do a big, modern production in there. Who's this lot?
No, this is
Eli
Eli Span, who I think Granny
Yeah,
you
we
worked
did.
with there.
Yeah, we did 2 nights there.
Yeah, and because they did this. This is the poster from that.
But this is just reminding me of something. I did the Albert Hall for 2 nights with Steel Eye, and I did the Albert Hall in '86 with Supertramp 2 nights. But both times we had to move the equipment out in between gigs. For some reason, there was something booked in the afternoon, like at the Supertramp one. There was some sort of tea time, old ladies tea conference or something. And we had to pull all the stage equipment out. We could leave the lights because they were hanging from a truss. But both of those gigs, we had to move all the equipment out.
Yeah, that's a bit of a pain in the ass, I would have thought.
Was.
Yeah. Where did you put it? I mean, do you stick it back in the truck or
back in the trucks? Yeah. See, the thing was, there's all these long hallways, and you could leave all the cases.
Probably back in the trucks.
Yeah, this was the Supertramp you're talking about, which was a Princess Trust thing.
Yeah.
Were you in that lineup?
No, I don't think I was. No, they keep me out the way of the Royals. There's another story about me and the Royal family. It goes back to '69.
I don't know if we want to talk about that. Well, you mentioned it. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The current king. Yes.
Yeah. The Queen herself. No, the Queen.
The Queen.
Yeah.
Ooh,
anyway, that's another story.
So so you've got direct experience of working in it, but I mean, was it part of was it like an extra special gig for you guys to go to anything there, or was it part of the circuit?
It would be considered prestigious, but everybody goes, the Royal Albert Hall again. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was prestigious, but it was a hassle to work.
So I mean,
it definitely wasn't easy for crews.
Yeah.
The first time I ever worked there was when early days, probably late '60s, early '70s. And I had to take Grange, you might have been with me. We had to take a bunch of orange equipment there because the carpenters were playing there. And we set that orange equipment up for the carpenters. And then after the night, took it back to Orange in Shaftesbury Avenue. That was my first time there. Then I seen gigs there after that, but I never worked there until I worked there with Phil Collins.
Way later. Yeah.
A few nights later.
Well, of course, Brian flashed up an advert for a very unusual gig. Have you still got that queued up? The Centipede?
No, I think we've deleted that.
There you are. There we go. Centipede was a 48-piece band. This is when the jazz and rock scene and classical were all starting to merge. And
Ronnie Scott.
Yeah, Keith Tippett was the main man on it. He just died, unfortunately. Yeah. He was married to Julie Driscoll, who sang.
Gnigrelog.
I know
Gnigrelog with the opening act because RCA Records.
I still, yeah.
But they
never heard of them.
It did exist.
Was this the human centipede or just the centipede?
Yeah, I'm going to relaunch Rose career. I'm going to relaunch it. But we were obviously squeezed on in front of the 48-piece band. We probably had just enough room to put the back line on. And we weren't needed. It was a superstar sort of setup. All these singers. There was 3 drummers, 4 bass players, 6 guitarists, singers, horn players. People from I knew a couple of the guys, like from the Soft Machine, Robert Wyatt. So it was a real mixture of jazz and rock and everything.
What was it like? What was the backstage areas like, though? Pretty neat compared to the Marquee?
You just go down to the back of the stage. There was a little short tunnel into the green room right off the stage. It was pretty modest, I think. I don't think it was very much
very
little bar.
So, did anybody ever handle the organ there, though?
Oh,
beg your pardon?
Not that I can speak about in public.
So,
I remember stashing a lot of the gear underneath, where the orchestra pit was, but underneath, not the front orchestra pit, actually underneath. So we stored a lot of cases and stuff back there.
Nice.
Yeah. We would put them all down the corridor, but when Prince Charles and Diana came, we had to take them all up and put them in the truck because they want the security clearance,
I have been to some gigs there. I actually worked for a company that had a box in the Royal Albert Hall, so I used to get to stuff. Lovely, and all the proms. I went to a lot of proms stuff.
You know, can I interject? I don't want to dominate too much, but
No.
I went to the proms in 1970 because my favorite band was the Soft Machine, very unusual instrumental band, and they were the first like modern band to play in the classical proms. I've still got the program, of course.
Didn't know that.
1970, September 1970, and they got
Groundbreaking.
it was amazing. Yes, I'd got to see
the
that.
same underpants.
And I believe, Granny, you were the first road manager to be thrown out of the Royal Albert Hall drunk.
Oh, probably. That happened a lot. It's hard to
Anyway,
remember.
That's a feather in the cap.
He
isn't it?
arrived drunk.
Yeah, he arrived drunk. Yeah, a great venue. It is, and I'm glad it's still there and still used, and they haven't decided it's too old-fashioned and got rid of it. But here's another good one that you guys have got lots of memories of, I'm sure, which is Madison Square Garden.
MSG.
MSG.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, this is some place. And if I mean,
The gig is on the 7th floor, if I remember right.
Well, it's underground. It's
underground.
There's a whole underground.
One way, is that the one way or the other? I can't remember.
Street level is like the 7th floor.
Yeah, and of course they convert it for sports like boxing, basketball, hockey. The New York Rangers play there, so there's a lot of in and out of gear.
Oh fuck! Yeah.
Now, Wilco, I know you worked for the Warner's 40th at this. Is he going?
Atlantic 40th.
Sorry, Atlantic 40th. Yeah, I keep saying Warner's for some reason. Atlantic 40th anniversary in 1988. I know Wilco was there. Were you there, Mark, as well?
I wasn't there. No, sadly I wasn't. But you know, I have been there many occasions. I'm sure we gigged there. It's a blur sometimes. It's like,
I think you probably did. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know this that Wilco in particular has talked about this event before because it was such a big event.
Yeah, Hamish came on in tilt.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I do have some footage of that we can play. Because I tested it. So let's have a quick look at that and we'll see what they looked like on stage. Share. I have video to share. Give me 1 second. We're almost there. Oh, here it is. Yep. So we're going to have a quick
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. Let's have a quick look at this. It's pretty funky.
Yeah, we're getting some slap back there, man.
Oh yeah. So Wilco will remember this well, I'm sure.
Wilco's frozen.
Is he?
He's gone.
He's going. But now we can get Hamish with the kilt.
Yeah, I mean, sound keeps coming really bad for me. I mean, all throughout everything I've been listening to, it keeps breaking up.
The Hamish couldn't afford the whole guitar. You had to get the head.
I think one of the roadies knocked the head off it.
You know why they got those guitars? I forget the name of them now, but the reason is because they fit in the overhead thing on the plane. They fit
Steinberg.
in the overhead.
Steinberg guitars,
Steinberg. Thank you.
But this was the Atlantic 40th, ton of great acts, and it must have been a great night in there. I would imagine Wilco's. He's gone, unfortunately. Yeah.
Rogie Ball, Rogie, hello Rogie.
The Dundee horn section there. What a funky sound.
Yeah, it was an echo.
Yeah. Anyway, I will hide that. Hang on a sec. There we go. Yeah, neat to see a little bit of a famous gig at MSG. I know obviously Wilco worked there, but I think Mark, you must have been there with Wishbone Ash.
Yeah, we did. I'll have to have a look through the archives to see what date that was.
Wilco's calling me, but I'm not sure I can answer that well unless you guys want to vamp.
Is he calling you direct? Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna say,
Cragsy, you a lot. done it?
Oh, I did it a lot of times with various people,
Right.
you know, and what sticks in my mind, that was the last venue I did. I was in 2000. I was touring with the Who, and we finished the tour off with 4 nights at Madison Square Garden, and so that's
massive.
my last. I haven't been to a gig since, apart from coming to visit Mark. I didn't really count that as going to a gig because I was going to visit Mark and Martin at the Wishbone Ash thing in my hometown of Deal. But yeah, the last proper gig I went to was the Who, Madison 4 nights, Madison Square Garden, and then I quit the business. I'd had enough.
Yeah. He went out at the top.
I went out at the top, though. You know, if you're going to quit, just quit then. You know. But I did that with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. I did it with Phil Collins, Genesis. You know, lots of great nights, great nights there. Yeah,
it's funny.
I was always amazed that you had to drive upstairs to get in there, and Madison Square Garden isn't square; it's round or oval. You know.
Yeah, well, I remember being in New York when the Bangladesh concert with George Harrison and that was on, and that was like the biggest ticket in town. And Kevin Harrington went with Ted. They managed to get tickets. And I couldn't go, and I'm stuck in the fucking Holiday Inn. But yeah, and there's been some iconic concerts there. The other George Harrison one, the concert for George with Prince. What a concert that is, man! That's great to watch. I recommend anybody watching that. It's brilliant.
The big 9/11 post 9/11 thing was at Madison Square Garden with all the firefighters or whatever. I remember the Who playing that and guys like that. So that was quite. There's Hamish again in his kilt. But yeah, so that was a big. It's we've moved on. Certainly lots of major acts have played there, and it's still play there. I mean, you get guys like Billy Joel playing 10 nights in a row there because it's his home city.
He's done over 100 shows there.
Yeah.
That's the only gig he does, isn't it? I think
but he's doing it. He's doing it for the last time. This next series is his last. That's it. He's quitting doing because he's getting predictable. He said.
Well, the guys I worked with after I finished with Wishbone in Connecticut were the Sims Brothers band, who we went on tour with. Anyway, they ended up backing vocals for Billy Joel.
Oh yeah. I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So,
and David Bowie, of course, they worked with.
And David Bowie on Serious Moonlight.
Yeah. So, moving on to 2 other famous venues:
the Fillmore East,
Fillmore East, and the Fillmore West. And this is the East. Some big crowd outside it for that gig. I don't know what gig that is, but.
Well, that was one of the Wishbone's first gigs in New York, and we did it with Elton John.
That's right, yeah.
And I'll tell you what date that was as well in a minute.
I've got the poster. There you go. Oh, no, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. 3 nights.
Yeah, it's 8th, 9th, 10th of April.
9th of April, 1971.
Yeah, and in between, this was sandwiched in between a bunch of gigs that you did in the Fillmore West.
That's correct.
Before and after. So this was like a flew to New York, do 3 nights, fly back again kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great tour for iconic gigs, you know. So we, Whiskey, Fillmore West with Poco. I don't know whether you remember them. Poco, big West Coast band.
Yeah, well, Randy Meisner, of course, who just passed away, was
just
Poco.
With Eagles.
So that's the bill for that one, but there's an actual poster for it.
Oh, hang on a minute, I've lost you.
Yeah, so
Elton was a brilliant host. I mean, we were a support band, and he actually sent down a bottle of bloody great big bottle of champagne. I don't know what you call them, Boynes or something. Yeah, a great big bottle of champagne. Big Magnum. Yeah, he was absolutely lovely, you know. Of course, they were all sellout shows, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean that's quite early in his stardom as well. April '71, he really
It
just
is.
hit it big. Yeah.
Look how young he looks there.
Yeah.
Doesn't look the same now, does he?
But he also did the Fillmore West with Wishbone Ash, and these are was it
on my birthday?
Yeah, in San Francisco, of course. There's a great, actually, that's a better picture of it. And it's pretty rough looking. Was it really that rough in real life?
It wasn't that shiny, no. Not good.
It wasn't in a great area, no.
No, it looks pretty deadbeat and rough, yeah.
Well, you're talking serious hippies on the West Coast there, you know.
Yeah.
But it was
I used to love doing that because we always stayed at the Miyako Hotel.
I was going to mention it myself, the Miyako. Yeah.
Fantastic hotel, Japanese run. You know, the whole thing about it was Japanese. It was fantastic, but great venue. You know,
this is inside the Fillmore West. I didn't realize it's kind of like a warehouse, really.
Yeah, there's a pool table backstage, and I remember this young girl with hot pants on, bending over. Oh shit! Sorry.
Flashbacks.
The stories we really want to know.
That's right.
Right. But never mind all the equipment.
There's a particular poster of that Fillmore West, Mark, that you did with Fogo. I don't remember Seagull Schwall though as a band.
Seagull Schwall.
I remember them.
Yeah.
West Coast band.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a gig with them there.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, it's the poster, yeah.
Well, yeah, we did a gig with them. They were headlining. We did a few with Poco and Seagull Schwall, but we did one or two earlier in the week or something just with Seagull Schwall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated. Sorry, I'll throw that up again. Fascinated by the vibe of the place. I mean, the rough area that it seems to be.
Look how many people were on that stage then.
And look at this. I mean, it seems like the audience is pretty close.
What there is in the audience.
Maybe that's Centipede. Maybe they went across.
But yeah, it seems like it was. This was just post kind of Flower Power. I mean, no, it was still kind of.
Well, it was famous for the Grateful Dead and 6-hour fucking concerts, and it's amazing, really amazing place, really, really iconic, but rough and ready.
Yeah, you got to spend quite a few nights there and working there and living in the city. I mean, it must have been
there's a few stories, Mal, isn't there? There's a few stories outside of the gigs that we, regarding limousines and stuff, which we can't tell actually.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, they had a fantastic time there.
Great place, I'm sure.
Miyako Hotel was brilliant.
It did close.
That other side to that touring is the other two sides, is because we're dealing with the music, but there was the sex and the drugs. In case anybody forgot,
I thought that was just the bands that
It's not all about rock and roll. It's not just rock and roll.
But wait, Mark, you were what, 21 or something, or 20?
I think so. Yeah, when I was born in 1951. Yeah, I was 19, 20. 19, I think, when I first went to the States.
But Mal and Granny, have you been to the Fillmores as well?
I've never done the East. I've done the West. I've done the West with, not at that particular time, but I did it later with Mark, with Wishbone.
Oh,
and I did it with several other tours as well.
I know that the Allmans, of course, did their famous Fillmore East concert and album, and Wilco was going to talk about that. Unfortunately, he's
and of course we mentioned Robbie Robinson earlier, and they did the Last Waltz from there.
Oh, right. From East, Fillmore West. Okay,
right. Yeah.
I know the Average White Band did play Fillmore later on.
A bit late, yeah.
Oh, Tower of Power, Average White Band.
Yeah. Which they just called it the Fillmore then, because I think the West had closed, hadn't it, by then?
Yeah,
Fillmore
this was down more in town on Market Street, I think. There was like a couple of newer venues, more theater-like.
Bill Graham was the promoter on the West Coast over there.
Yeah,
I love all those.
He
Like
was
I
the
love
promoter
all.
of both.
Sorry, mate.
Bill Graham was the promoter of both Fillmores. He
Yeah.
probably, he probably had to pay somebody off in New York to,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah. No, it's. But I loved all the artwork and stuff from back then. The psychedelic artwork and stuff.
Well, this is the Wishbone Ash gigs. Yeah.
The posters are really designed, properly designed. And what it's fantastic. And all that kind of art exists today as well. It was like the groundbreaking in art, with the posters and stuff. It was.
This is a
brilliant
beautiful
stuff.
one. Yeah,
Look,
this
it's
is
beautiful.
the Poco. This is the Poco Wishbone Ash one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
look at that. Look at that. Fantastic.
Commander Cody underneath.
Collectors now they go for big money on auctions.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
buy these for hundreds, thousands of dollars if they're original. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fillmore's got tons of great memories from there and classic venues. A lot of great bands played there. A lot of the major bands we know and love today played there. Here's a venue for you, though. The Glasgow Apollo. I'm going to include this as iconic because I'm Scottish.
Oh,
It
for
is.
sure.
It was.
The Glasgow Apollo, sadly gone long ago. The graveyard for many acts in the variety days, where they'd be bottled off after one bad joke. I'm pretty sure you've probably, I know Mal's worked there. You must all have put a lot of gigs on.
Definitely.
I did that with, with Status Quo. Status Quo were famous for the bouncing the audience. The audience used to all bounce. And this balcony up here, the one you're highlighting right there, Brian.
Yeah.
The council came in and measured it, and there was a 13-inch, so about 26-inch movement on that balcony when the audience. But luckily, they were doing it in unison. So things.
It's amazing. It never collapsed. But if you notice, it's supposed to be a seated audience, and not one of them is sat down.
That's right. I wouldn't be standing under the balcony. Let's put it that way.
It was a terrible loading, though, because you had to come in through the front, if I remember, and all the way down. And then the stage was about 12 feet high. And so you had a ramp, and you had to push everything up the ramp to get it on the stage. Terrible loading. Great venue.
So one of the best audiences. One of the best audiences in the world, man.
Well, if the audience liked you, if they liked you. Now, Granny, you were going to say something.
Right. Thankfully, I never had the other, an audience that didn't like us. It was, thank God for that.
It used to be Green's Playhouse in the old days.
There's the boys.
Green's Playhouse. And then when it changed from Green's Playhouse, Peter Green from Led Zeppelin's manager had the carpet taken up and put in his office.
Oh, jeez, right.
Peter Green,
I'd imagine that carpet would be thick with many substances.
No, not the audience carpet.
Oh, right, okay. I was going to say
the artists used to hang out.
The Quo are intimately.
That's definitely my day. Those were my AC30. Vox AC30s, and I had.
This is the rocking all over the world.
I don't know how many I had of them. I think I had 30 of them.
The Quo are intimately associated with the Glasgow Apollo because of the live album and
fantastic. I had some great stuff there with them.
Great place to do a live album because you got the audience, you got the audience response and everything. As is Glasgow. As is Newcastle as well with the audience.
Yeah.
Once you get up north there, those boys rock.
Aye, man.
Aye, boy.
I mean, I've seen the Quo a few times, even back in the day. I saw them on this tour, actually, but in Birmingham. But this is the Apollo rocking all over the world tour.
The jeans Rick's wearing there, I probably sold him at 10 times the value because he used to buy like designer jeans, but they were never faded back then. They weren't the stone washed out things that you can buy now. And so me umping equipment around used to fade those jeans, and Rick would buy them off me at inflated prices, at rock star prices.
Well, the Quo were famous for doing that set of adverts for, was it Lee Jeans or Levi or whatever? And they said, people would ask, how much money did you get? Oh, we just got paid in denim.
Yeah,
That's all
they
got.
did. They did. Somebody else might have got some money.
Somebody else got the money. There's the implication.
Somebody, maybe.
I wanted to just mention a couple more. There's hundreds of venues you guys threw out there, but here's the one that you mentioned earlier, Mark, the Whiskey.
Whiskey.
Yeah, this is Wishbone Ash at the Whiskey.
Oh.
In the same era as the same
back in 71.
Yeah. With a
we did about 3 or 4 nights there consecutive. It was like our first trip to LA.
Yeah.
And we were staying at the Riot House, of course.
Of course.
Where else?
That's a completely different show. That's a completely different show, the Riot House. I love it. Vincent Crane, Atomic Rooster are playing on the 30th and 31st, and then Tony Joe White is later in September. Two great artists that don't get enough attention. But and I think that was Ash in that era. That's kind of what they looked like then.
Still waiting for the photo of the Whiskey.
There's no photo yet.
I thought you said you had a photo. Sorry.
No, I know. I have this. Sorry, hang on. I just have this.
Ah, okay.
Hang on though.
Yeah. Help.
Ask and you may receive.
Look at that. Joe Walsh. See the size of Joe Walsh's billing there? It's like sort of little, right at the bottom of the poster.
Sorry, I've got the wrong
I've just
one.
seen a thing there on that.
Oh, sorry, it's Joe White. Sorry, I never heard of
Joe
it.
White. Yeah, Tony Joe White. Yeah, who's a great artist.
The building there, I'd love. And Arthur Lee, another one we've lost recently.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
he's,
So there's the Whiskey.
Just as I remember it.
The Bull
so far, that's the only venue. So far, that's the only venue you guys mentioned that I've been to.
Oh, you've been in there? Okay.
I've been to the Whiskey,
Is it still going, the Whiskey? Yeah.
Well, I was there in 2006. I saw a band called From a Second Story Window. They were on tour with Cattle Decapitation.
Sounds good.
Sounds like good. Metal to me, mate. Sounds like metal.
Courtney has joined us in the chat, and she's probably played it. She's played at the Whiskey, I think.
She's a rock god.
Okay, babe.
Yeah.
Courtney.
She has played there.
Respect.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned the Whiskey, and I'm glad I prepared this photograph of it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we're kind of hitting. I know we started a little late. We're getting near the top of the hour. I did prepare a whole bunch of others, and there's so many. The Alexandra Palace, the Rainbow in London, famous.
Yeah,
you guys. Oh no, Courtney hasn't been inside the Whiskey. Well, there you go.
She's there in spirit.
Yes. There's well, hell, I've got them here. So there's the alley. I think that's the Alexandra. No, that's the Roundhouse, not the Roundhouse.
No, I don't know.
That is the Roundhouse. No, that's the interior of the Alexandra Palace.
Is that the alley pally? Yeah, checked out.
Now, it never used to look like. Used to look like that.
It's getting restored, I believe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember being all floor. I don't remember being
all floor. Went to see done it all nighter there. Went to see Granny Ewer Club there again with Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I hitchhiked
Pink Floyd
7 down to an all-night psychedelic concert. And that's where I first saw the Soft Machine, and the Budokan came on at dawn.
Soft Machine at dawn, yeah. The Alley Pally, of course, was a BBC place for many years, wasn't it? It's where they started broadcasting back in the day.
Broadcasting house.
So there's the Budokan.
The Budokan in Tokyo.
Yeah. Incredible place. Intimately associated with
anybody who's played there. That is, if you go to Tokyo, you play.
I never played there.
Hey?
I never played there. I guess I'm nobody then.
You did, Mark. We went there with Wishbone.
Did I?
You must have. Yes. Yeah, you must have.
I remember the Sunshine Plaza, but I don't remember.
And it's a weird shape because it isn't. Again, it's not round. It's not square. It's like octagonal or something.
Mark, that was the first time I went to Japan. Was with Wishbone, and we played there.
Well, I've got my gigs all wrapped up in the wrong way around. I remember the Sun Plaza. Was
but we went back and did that. That was. We went out of Tokyo, come back and done the Sun Plaza.
I must have been fucking stoned.
But yeah, Cheap Trick are intimately associated with the Budokan, of course. They opened it up for rock acts. It wasn't a rock
Well, I
venue.
think wasn't it George Harrison did the first one there? I think.
Well,
Yeah, they weren't.
The Beatles went there in '64.
Yeah,
There was a
but
riot.
They were
It was
a riot. Yeah, they hated rock acts.
martial
there.
art. It was a martial arts venue.
But it was
Yeah,
great.
sumo.
The gig used to start like at 6 o'clock and finish at 9. You were clear by 9 o'clock in the evening.
So how about this one?
Circus Krone, Munich.
Yeah.
Done that?
Yeah.
I've done that.
Circus Krone. Yeah.
Did that with
There's
that
the-
Warner Brothers package tour.
There's the Beatles.
There's the Beatles at the Circus Krone. Yeah, a great
What?
color photograph.
And
Yeah, it is.
what's the one in Paris?
We have that too. We'll get to that in a minute.
Olympia,
How about that one?
Olympia.
Wembley.
Wembley
Wembley
Empire
Pool.
Pool.
Empire Pool, Wembley.
Yeah.
The one
And
in Paris,
then-
the Rock and Roll Circus, wasn't it?
And then inside,
It was
an
a
actual
swimming
pool.
pool. Yeah. And, the pool's still there. They just boarded it over. They never actually filled it in.
there's a famous Led Zeppelin concert film from there. Yeah. And you'll know this one, of course.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood Bowl.
It's
The
where
Hollywood
Granny
Bowl.
lives in a hut a tent out the back of here.
Just out of sight, just off camera.
I did that with the Who.
Oh right,
And-
yeah.
And the Greek theatre is very similar in LA. The
Oh,
Greek,
yeah.
Smaller.
which I did with Peter Gabriel.
So
Hollywood Bowl I did with George Benson.
George
Wow.
Benson.
I was tour manager for a Japanese act called Sadao Watanabe,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
Oh yeah.
a
Yeah.
soprano sax player. And we were supporting George Benson. What a lovely gig. I ended up mixing sound for George Benson that night.
Oh, it'd be beautiful.
Yes.
Great.
What a quality band that is. I mean, you talk, in the sort of average white band sort of, Arif Mardin type arrangements and stuff like that. Just super.
George Benson was
class.
beautiful, beautiful musician. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did some gigs with them in the '70s.
The
Yeah,
Paris
very good.
Olympia.
Les Beatles.
Les Beatles. Sylvie Vartan.
Trini.
With Mick,
Trini Lopez.
Mick Jones of Foreigner was playing with Sylvie Vartan's band at this gig. He was
Right
our
on.
guitar
Sick.
player.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm impressed, Brian.
Oh, I
Yeah.
did a whole show on Foreigner. I'm a huge fan of Foreigner. And Mick Jones. Yeah, that's what it looks like inside, I guess.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And that's
Yeah, we
Mal.
did a thing with Van der Graaf. We did a Charisma package tour. It was Van der Graaf Generator, a band called Audience, and Genesis were just starting out. That's when
Right,
Peter
yeah.
Gabriel was down the front with his clown outfit and his little bass drum.
And,
Yeah,
oh
it was
yeah,
a
they
great
could only afford 3 double neck 12-string guitars between them at that point.
Yeah.
This one, how about this one?
The
Rainbow.
Rainbow. Yeah. Finsbury Park.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
There's a Ganidrolog connection to that,
Oh, come on.
Who?
Of course there is. Of course there is. It's in North London.
Never heard of them. Never
The
heard
other
of them.
roadie was a guy called Dick Parkinson, and he actually really intimidated me till I got my feet on the ground and got going. But he ended up being the main house technician for there, and he was like the promoter's production guy for the Albert Hall at one point. So these things are connected.
Brian, the first time I did the Rainbow there was with the Scottish band called Stone the Crows.
Oh, yeah, Stone the Crows. Jimmy McCulloch.
Maggie Bell. And,
Jimmy McCulloch, wasn't it? Jimmy McCulloch.
yeah, and Ronnie Lee on keyboards. Yeah.
Yeah, great band. But that's I don't know what this was for, but that's the inside of the Rainbow, obviously for some Shakespearean thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's the stage to the left at Proscenium. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Roundhouse.
That's the Roundhouse. Yeah,
Yeah.
still going, I think.
Yeah, it
You
is
know
still
why?
going. It's been modified with like great sound equipment and
Yeah.
a great stage. The old days
Yeah.
it was
But-
that's it, yeah.
But you
That's where they
realise
used to have all the
all-
psychedelic all-nighters at the Roundhouse.
All dayers on
Yeah.
the Sunday we used to go walking around there because we only lived around the corner in Chalk Farm, just around Gloucester Avenue.
But did you
And,
know it's an old locomotive shed from the 1840s? That's why.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
round.
The
Yeah,
trains
yeah.
had to get into it.
Look at that.
Locomotive. You turn around and
Hey, while we're here,
It's a turntable, isn't it?
I'm
Granny.
gonna. It
It's
is
a turntable
turntable, yeah.
for railway
British
train.
Railways mug.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna
British
I'm
Railways
gonna
mug.
see it. I'm
You
gonna derail
stand
you by I'm gonna derail this by asking Granny a train question. Have you been to the Red Star locomotive graveyard in Hungary, in Belgrade or
I've
Budapest?
heard about
Oh,
I've seen pictures of it. I've never.
Oh.
with
Depressing.
all the old steam Russian and Eastern
Oh,
European steam
that'd be
trains.
fascinating, Granny. That would be
Oh,
good.
yeah. It is
Rusting. Yeah.
We'll do a live
away.
broadcast from there.
Just to get back to the roundhouse, I did the launch of VH1 in Europe. They did the launch for it there, this launch party gig, and Prince turned it on.
Oh wow!
Mm.
I know. So I had to like chaperone Prince that night. So and he was very, very nice, very obliging, much more so than some of the artists that were there that night.
Mm.
Yeah. So
He pressed the button that gave Europe VH1.
Wow!
All right, brilliant.
Mm.
Okay.
We had this giant telephone on the stage, and Prince came on and made a call.
Yeah.
Courtney's been to a lot of these venues.
Cheesy it was, but
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you've got stories, I'm sure, about all of those venues
And more.
and more. We will definitely get to those.
Warehouse New Orleans is one that springs to mind.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely get to those in good time for sure, gentlemen.
Should we do part two of this? Do part two of iconic gigs.
If you want to keep talking about those, we'll pick 4 or 5 of them and do them next week. Yeah.
Whatever,
So,
man. Just keep the memories coming. Because it's like, as you talk about it, you sort of remember stuff.
We've got thousands of gigs between us.
I know.
This could take a while.
And I want to tease those memories out because, as you can see, there's things you've forgotten. As Mark
You're doing
said,
it, Brian. You're doing it, man.
As Mark said, you see the picture and you go, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So cool. But thank you, gentlemen. And hey, Andy Morrow's just popped in. Thanks, everyone, for watching us today, and either live or on the replay. Apologies for technical issues we had with the stream starting. Hopefully I'll get those ironed out with Streamlabs for next week. I better not start talking about that.
The equivalent.
Tell them you'll send the Rock and Roll Rowdies in to sort them out, mate.
I'll say I know
it's
been emotional. Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks, Davina.
Equivalent
Thanks.
would be breaking down inside of the gig and pushing the van with the help of the audience, pushing the van to the gig. We had that happen once with Van de Graaff. So you get there, and the show must go on.
So the audience, really, you just use the audience as free labor.
Use and abuse.
But yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Thank you, gentlemen, for your wonderful stories today. And yeah, let's do a round 2 of that, and hopefully Wilco won't have. It's on his phone. I think that's causing a few issues of getting in. Okay,
he hasn't been home for 4 months.
I know. But we'll do round 2 with some of those venues there that we mentioned, and you mentioned a couple of others that I'll add to the list of Warehouse and so on. So great, thanks everybody. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Please subscribe to the Rock and Roll Rowdies on YouTube. There are also links on their channel channel to go to Facebook and other places to subscribe.
Yeah,
you can subscribe to me too. That's 70s Rock Fan on my channel if you wish.
I've done that.
Well, thank you. And I'm churning out that content like a good YouTuber. So looking forward to next week already. Until then, everybody stay well, keep on rocking.